Hello to everyone out there. Thank you so much for watching. If you're coming back for another video, thank you so much for following. And I am going to try to make this as short as I can because I just ordered a calzone from Jodo's Pizza, which was a place that I ordered pizza from the other night that I shared with everybody on a previous video I did. So they said they'll be here in 45 to 50 minutes. I just got off the phone with them. I think in a typical fashion, that is not nearly enough time to cover what I have laid out, but I will try to get through it as quickly as I can. Hopefully I won't sidetrack because lately I've been doing that a lot. I was watching the speech that President Trump delivered this evening, and I did lay out some information here. So let me just start with that since I already have all this up and everything. Oh, yes, and really quick here, let me just briefly go up here to the top. So I didn't change the background because I did mention in the last video, Wayland Corporation, this little logo down here, the wallpaper. What movie series was it? I didn't get any comments on that. I think there were like 2 views for that video, maybe 3, but I didn't give out the answer in that video. So if you watched that video and you're at this point and you didn't know what it is, it's I don't know. I mean, it's a movie I really liked. It was made in 1986. I don't think they used it in the first one. I think in the first movie it was like 1979. But anyway, it's the Alien franchise and the Alien movies. So in 1986, Sigourney Weaver in the movie Aliens. If you watch the extended DVD version, which is like 2.5 hours long as opposed to about 2 hours for the actual old school version of the movie. They actually mention Wayland Corporation in a couple of scenes. And if you watch Alien 3, toward the end of the movie, if memory serves correctly, and it might be fuzzy because that was like 15 years ago when I last watched that movie, but they mention Wayland Corporation as well. So yeah, that's where that came from. So anyway, let me go ahead and come down here to the speech here. I'll just start here from the top for this one. So the new COVID guidelines, like the guidelines that he posted or that he made available to everybody, the 15 days has expired since those first guidelines were put out there. And they have essentially just rebooted the same set of guidelines, at least as far as I understood, that's what they did. But now it's going to be for 30 days and it's going to go until the end of April. So the president said that we must put everything we have into stopping the spread of COVID for the month of April. So by the end of April, hopefully we will get this thing under control. I'm not so optimistic, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that a circumstance like this, when you look at the Johns Hopkins map and how it looks so just spread out through the entire country, I mean, I think the cat's out of the bag, to be honest with you. I don't think that there's any way that we're going to curve this down until we hit that peak, and then we just, naturally ride that wave down. Hopefully it takes just a couple of months, but I think honestly, from a realistic standpoint, the harder that we fight against it, the longer it's going to take before we get to that point. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an expert or anything, but anyway, let me get rid of this nonsense. I keep getting these stupid YouTube, I mean, not stupid, because there are some comments that I do appreciate. I mean, somebody actually gave me a thumbs up for a comment that I posted on a previous video. I'm just irritated because they keep popping up, and I know what I have to do. I have to go into my YouTube settings and disable all that, but I just don't know why it was enabled because I already disabled that a few months ago. So I don't know. This is a new computer, so maybe that's why that it's coming up now. Maybe I haven't disabled it. So anyway, my apologies for the pause. Wetting my whistle here. So, okay, so there were a bunch of companies that actually stepped up to the podium. And I tried to get as much information from the president as I could, and I think I did okay with that. I ended up stopping because it was getting late at night. My mom was asking me what we were planning on doing for dinner, and she thought about maybe getting some lasagna from a place down the street called Brooklyn Pizza, which is amazingly awesome. If you're ever in the Seminole, Florida area, and if you're on Park Boulevard and Seminole Boulevard, there's a place on the corner. It's on the northwest corner in this little mini plaza. It's called New York Pizza Company. My God, that lasagna is the best I've ever had in my life. Legit. I mean, anytime I go to an Italian restaurant, I get lasagna. That's my favorite thing at an Italian restaurant. I don't like pasta. I don't like noodles. I don't like spaghetti. I know I'm a weirdo, but I also don't like rice. Yeah, apparently I don't like carbs, but when it comes to lasagna, yeah, it's so buried in meat, the pasta part of it, that it just doesn't faze me in any way, shape, or form. So every time I go to an Italian restaurant, I always get their lasagna. This place is freaking legit. The garlic is off the charts. It's crazy. It's awesome. So they're apparently closed. I hope they're not closed long term. I called them 3 times in a row. It went to voicemail. So for a pizza place, it doesn't usually go to voicemail when business hours are happening. But I mean, they're usually open until like 11 o'clock. I think maybe 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But yeah, they weren't answering. So I had to go back to Jodo's Pizza, the place that I shared with everyone who was watching a video a number of days ago when I ordered Jodo's Pizza. I think that was Thursday, Friday, somewhere around there. So anyway, let me go ahead and get back to the point here. So let's see here. Scrolling back up here once again. Okay, so this company, it's either Patel or Batel. I couldn't quite understand it because it was during the speech, and I just didn't want to pause the video. I just wanted to take notes as they were talking. But the government had authorized the use of disinfecting machines that sterilize thousands of N95 masks for reuse, and the president. I don't think he's really owning the idea, but it sounds like he's kind of owning the idea because he did kind of pitch that in a speech that he gave a number of days ago, saying that, we're making all these masks, these crazy, awesome, high quality masks, but as soon as we use them with one patient, we just throw them in the trash. He's like, it'd be nice if we could figure out a way to re-sterilize that mask just to have it be reused. Well, either he came up with that idea or somebody else did, and he's just forwarding it to any other company through his speech that might take that idea and run with it. Well, apparently they did. And this company, Batel, whatever, they came up with a machine with the capability of doing this, and they did get authorization through the government. I assume that's probably the FDA, who approved the production of this machine. So they're going to start churning out these machines, and each one is apparently capable of sterilizing thousands of N95 masks. So that's really cool. That's going to be a huge help in terms of supply. So that's really good. So Dr. Hahn from the FDA, when he approached the podium and he gave his speech, he had this information to share. It's either the company Abbott or Abbott. I couldn't quite tell what he was saying, and I didn't have time to look it up. But this is pertaining to the 5-minute COVID test. So during the speech, Trump removed, so during the speech of Dr. Hahn, President Trump went over to the side to where the second podium was, where this black box was sitting on, and he removed this test kit from the box. And it's a small machine that's white, and it's called a point of care test. And it can be used anywhere: hospitals, drive-through, clinics, urgent care, doctors' offices, any of those places. It's about the size of a shoebox. And this machine is supposed to be able to take a sample of a patient who may be diagnosed with COVID-19, and it will tell them within 5 minutes or up to 5 minutes if they are positive for COVID-19. And if they're negative, it will take as much as 15 minutes to give a negative test. So they're done. They've been developed, and they're starting to mass produce those right now, and they're going to start rolling them out effective immediately, I believe. So that's really cool. Personally, I thought it was incredible how fast that was actually developed. I mean, and for, let's see, and I didn't come up with this. They said this at some point during the speech. It was Dr. Hahn. Dr. Hahn said that we test more people than any other country in the world. And from my opinion, I'm sure that this is probably the very first rapid test for COVID-19 in the world, unless China came up with one and they kept it a secret or something. I don't know. But right now we have tested more people as a population in our country, or as a single nation, than any other nation in the world has been able to test their population with. So we're on it, and our companies are really stepping up to the plate, and it's really cool. So let's see. All states are now required to report all hospital bed and ICU capacity, ventilator capacity on a daily basis, per Vice President Mike Pence. So that's a good thing that they're doing right now. They want to get daily reports as to what materials are being used, how many beds are being used, how many patients are in each hospital around the country. That's going to be reported by each individual state of all 50 states. And I assume for a logistics standpoint, they're going to be able to use that information and try to figure out where they need to send in an additional amount of masks, gowns, ventilators, things like that too, as this virus gets worse. So that's good. And they are sending 60 ambulances to New York City. They didn't say if they're brand new, but I don't think it matters. They're sending 60 more ambulances to New York City just to help out with the pandemic. Let's see, and also 1.3 billion more dollars was also sent to New York City on top of what they've received already. And I'm sure that is today that they received that amount of money to help combat what they're dealing with right now with COVID-19. Also, more ventilators are going to New Jersey, Michigan, Illinois, Louisiana, and Connecticut. They did give some numbers. Most of them are in the hundreds. Like one state got 100 and something, another one got 500 and something. You know what I mean? So I just didn't have time to type down all those numbers. But if you want to know more about that, just listen to the president's speech, and it's on there. Ford and General Electric Healthcare is producing 50,000 ventilators in less than 100 days. And honestly, either he didn't say it or I didn't catch it, but my immediate thought is that it's either I believe it's 50,000 ventilators a month. It could be per week, but I think that it might be per month. But anyway, if you have that answer, drop it in the comments below, because not just me could benefit from that, but anybody who could be watching this would be able to benefit from that. I think everybody would as a whole, to be honest. 50,000 ventilators per week or per month. If they're doing it per week, that's freaking incredible. It'd be amazing if they could churn out that many per week. That'd be awesome. Also, GM and 9 other companies are making ventilators right now. So they're on it. There's companies around the nation that are working on producing ventilators. That's really cool. It's really nice. Honestly, a company that's capable of doing so, I mean, they're getting incredible kudos for doing this. I mean, could you imagine that? Like places like Honeywell and GM and Ford and these companies that are out there that are producing supplies for people who need these things. When this thing's all said and done, they're going to be touted as the heroes in the industrial sector. So, I mean, I know that there's a lot to gain from that, a lot of notoriety, but still, I mean, if it comes down to saving lives, that's what really matters. And the president did say that Italy, France, and Spain are going to be getting some ventilators as we can provide. And that was his words, as we can provide. So he didn't quite say that we're going to be fulfilling a need for the ventilators. But he was basically saying, as far as what I saw, that if we're able to give any extras to them, we will give the extras to them. Like we've given them our word that if we have any additional ones that we can supply to them, we will be. I thought that was a little ahead I think he probably should have waited a few weeks to make that sort of decision to go public with that, because I don't think we're ever going to have a supply of ventilators through this pandemic that we're not going to be using. I mean, I honestly think just with the numbers that they're looking at, Dr. Fauci said that millions are expected to get coronavirus in the next couple of months or the next month. It was something like in May, I think, is when he was saying that the pandemic was going to peak, and that was from yesterday's speech. But yeah, he was talking like 100,000 deaths, if not more. So as far as ventilators are concerned, I mean, I guess if we can build them fast enough, maybe we can start churning them out for other countries. So maybe they know something I don't, but I think that's a little early to call that. But anyway, that will hopefully be happening because those 3 countries who are close allies with us. I'm not sure so much about Spain. I know France is, should be our closest ally because they helped birth this country. I mean, if it wasn't for France, we would have been screwed. But and Italy, I mean, ever since they lost World War II, I mean, for some reason they absolutely love the United States. I mean, they embraced the United States once the war was over. I think probably because of the dictatorship with Mussolini, but I don't know. I know a little bit about that, but now's not the time. So, okay, so now we're going to get into, oh, wait, here, just real quick. 14,000 National Guard members were activated throughout the United States. That was a talking point that he had. Another one is $100 million worth of supplies are being sent to Italy. At first, it looked like he was going to break down the list of supplies, but to me, he kind of had like the tone in his voice like it might have been a long list. So he just kind of, it seemed to me like he might have just kind of cut himself off a little bit. And he just essentially said that medical supplies are going to be sent to Italy in the form of $100 million. So we're not sending them cash. We're going to be sending them $100 million worth of supplies, but it was probably going to take him like 15 minutes to go through all the stuff we were going to give him. So he just kept it simple. So My Pillow, the company My Pillow, I remember that infomercial. I'm sure it's still on. I think it's on Fox News fairly regularly. I think I could be mistaken, but I think I've seen that commercial at work fairly often, as they do show Fox News at my workplace on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then they show fake news CNN on Tuesday and Thursday. But at least we get the better channel for the majority of the days, and they don't alternate every other week, which is cool. But yeah, My Pillow. They're the ones that make that like $19.99 for My Pillow. It's like the best pillow ever made. And, if you act now, you can get an extra one for free kind of thing, the infomercial company. So anyway, they said that they're working to produce supplies for the United States. They're dedicating their call centers to help other companies. So they didn't name other companies, but it sounds like they have a very large call center. And I guess just to help in the aid of just the disease as a whole. If there's other companies who are dealing with high call volume, maybe they're able to help take on some of that. But the spokesperson for My Pillow said that they were doing that. 75% of manufacturing is going to produce face masks. 50,000 masks are expected to be produced per day by Friday. They're producing 10,000 a day right now, but by Friday they should be producing 50,000. And he also added in the speech that all the schools throughout the country, they turned their back on God in February of 2016. I don't know if that's the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not sure exactly what that pertains to, and that was the first thought that came to my mind. And he basically said that it was a big vibe. If he didn't say it specifically, he gave the vibe that like they're a Christian company, and he did actually say that they are encouraging people to turn to their Bible if they're stuck at home, if they're not sure what to do, if all hope is lost or whatever. There's always the Bible. So that was basically the message that he was sending. Okay, so Honeywell, they are producing N95 masks within the next 2 weeks. They are going to quadruple whatever the production is for their N95 masks in the next 60 days, and they are going to 5 times their production in 90 days. And that's as of today. They also set up a $10 million fund for employees in their company who are struggling. So that was kind of like a personal one-up for their company. Jockey International, founded by a minister 144 years ago in Wisconsin. They used to make parachutes back during the World War II era. And right now they are working on making Tier 3 isolation gowns, and they're expected to make 30 to 50,000 gowns per week, starting effective immediately, I assume at least. Procter & Gamble. They make Tide, Pampers, Bounty, Charmin, Mr. Clean, Vicks, all of the brands we know. And they didn't give any details. It just sounded like a commercial plug, to be honest with you, because they didn't give any numbers. They didn't tell us what they were providing. They didn't say anything. They just said we make all these brands, and our research and development departments and whatever, like we're looking at what we can do to help with coronavirus. So I'm sure they'll be back. Maybe they just wanted to get on the podium just to let us know that yes, we make a lot of cleaning supplies. We're doing our best to see what we can contribute to this effort, and I'm sure we'll see them again in a future speech. But so, yeah, okay, so I guess now that I'm here on the bottom, the global warming types, when will we hear them screaming about all the waste that we produce with masks, gowns, and etc. to combat the virus? Because France, I don't know if I think I might have pulled up that article for this one, but there's a billion masks that France had ordered for their country. Most of them are coming from China, a billion. And it got me thinking, how many masks, how many gowns, how many gloves, how much material are we producing to combat coronavirus? And when it's all said and done, are we just going to be buried in just this mountain of coronavirus trash? I doubt it. I'm sure a million masks takes up a lot less space than one person might think. But I'm sure it's just a matter of time before you start to see these, these social justice warriors coming out and complaining about, all the waste that we're doing. Like, well, you throw a mask away every time you use it. Go to the next patient. You throw it away. It's so wasteful. Think about global warming. Think about the fish and stuff. And then you get President Trump saying that, why don't we just re-disinfect our N95 masks? Why can't we just use a disinfectant solution or something to reuse the same mask over and over? And I'm sure that they call him a racist and a xenophobe and a misogynist, like whatever they want to throw at him. They always throw the same old status quo at him every time he says something that he should get credit for. But, hell would freeze over before that happens. So anyway, let me see what else I have up here. Yeah, it's kind of a food theme today. Like, there's a lot of food stuff in the news right now. So I will get into some of that. I will say really quick, my hope for Florida, I probably should have saved this for the next one, but it was just an off-the-hand thought that I came up with that I really think that Florida, or at least the governor, should really consider. I hope that DeSantis orders all non-Florida citizens to leave the state, effective immediately, because the federal resources that are being sent down here to Florida to help Florida residents are meant for Florida residents, not for people who are not supposed to be here. So if you get tourists going to hospitals, they're going to be using the resources that are not meant for them, that they're meant for us. And if these people are from Michigan or Wisconsin or Indiana or Ohio or anywhere else in the country, the resources are up there and they're prepared for them. So they all need to go home and stay in their area. And if they get sick by any chance, the federal government has already allocated resources to where they are supposed to be. Because I'm sure the government is not expecting, I don't think that they're really factoring in exactly how many tourists that we're going to have down here that they're going to have to help us out with, or help them out with. So I just hope that he might actually consider that. But yeah, tourists should return to their states where the state and federal government has provided resources for them. Keeping tourists here will take resources meant for Florida by non-Florida citizens. So the non-Florida citizens, i.e. tourists, are going to be using resources that were meant for us instead, the people that actually live here. Everyone should return to their home state, in my opinion. That can also help contain the spread into other states. And, even though the fact that the cat's already out of the bag, the virus is all the way across the country. It's in all 50 states. We're the leading country on earth right now for coronavirus. The cat's out of the bag. Okay, it's out. It's everywhere. And it's only going to get more and more and more and more worse. So the U.S. food supply should be adequate through the pandemic. Farming is mainly rural, so families are most likely far less likely to get COVID-19. California does produce the majority of fruit and vegetables and other produce, whatever that might be. But I think, and this is my opinion here. This section is just what I was thinking about. But as far as the cattle, because I heard people worried about a shortage of meat, cattle can't get COVID-19, so we shouldn't see a drop in meat unless there's a large number of people somewhere in the supply chain that catch COVID-19. So from the time that they butcher the meat to the time where they deliver it to the grocery store, if a lot of people somewhere in between get sick, then I could see a shortage in that. But otherwise, I think we should be okay. And also, if you've lost your job, don't be afraid to reach out to your community if you're low on food, especially. And anybody, including myself, if somebody sent out a message somewhere asking for like a gallon of water or something, I would absolutely say, hell yeah, I'll give you a gallon of water. So if, don't let pride get in the way, especially in a situation like this, even more especially if you have kids or other people that depend on you. You can use nextdoor.com, you can use local churches, you can use friends and family, you can use Craigslist. I'm sure that there's other city or town resources that you could probably use that I'm not aware of to try to get some food stocked up for yourself. Because in the coming months, rather, we might start to see some sort of a local bartering system. And with that, I would say don't throw out food. If you do have any food, like if you have lima beans or something crazy that you've stocked up like last year and you're like, why in the hell am I saving this? Don't throw it out yet, because the food that you don't think that you'll eat, if that's not expired yet, you might be able to trade with somebody at some point. With my point being one person's trash is another person's treasure. So I mean, because the only reason that I thought about that was because I had a couple of canned items that I thought, wow, I don't think I'm going to eat that in a million years, but not so fast. Either you'll get really hungry and you will anyway, or we might start to see this new trend start to surface by the end of the summer because we don't know how bad this is going to get. It could really get that bad where we might have to start like bartering stuff like, hey, I'll give you 3 cans of this if you give me a gallon of water. I mean, that happens all the time in desperate places. Not familiar in the United States, but we really could start seeing that coming up in the months to come. So don't throw away anything right now just because, save it until it expires. No matter how disgusting you think that can is of whatever that somebody that gave it to you thought that it was, this, that, and the other, you know what I mean? Just save what you have. Anyway, I know, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling around a lot. I'm just trying to save time here. All right, I already got through that. Okay, we're good to go there. All right, let's jump into these articles real quick. And I'm sorry, I just don't have the time tonight. I got a little bit of a late start, so let me see here. Let's go ahead and get this going. Let me start with the map, as usual. Let's see, the Johns Hopkins map. I hope it's not too crazy. It was somewhere in the 700s earlier today. I hope it's in that range. Ooh, 784. Okay. Well, it's still climbing. I mean, it kind of looks like that it starts to want to. Does it? I don't know. I can't tell, but hopefully it's going to at any time. We're at 163,000 cases in the US, and I think to put that into perspective, just remember China. Remember we surpassed China like what, like 4 or 5 days ago at like 83, 84,000 cases. We've doubled that since then. So like in the last 4 or 5 days, we've doubled the amount of cases we've had. And that's going to start to feed into the whole, every 4, 5, 6 days, we're going to double again and double again and double again. It's scary. But Spain has passed China. I mean, we know China's numbers are totally fake. I mean, I'm sure China's numbers, they've probably, unfortunately, they've probably lost hundreds of thousands of people by now. And that's just the infection number. That's not the amount of people they've lost. So, yeah, not looking good. 178 countries. I think it was 177 yesterday, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was, though. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's not total. Let me just see if I can click out of that. I don't know if it'll let me click out. It's not letting me click out. Okay, there it goes. 165,000 people around the world have recovered from coronavirus that we know of. 37,000 have died worldwide from coronavirus so far that we know of, yet again. So, okay, very unfortunate. But I just think it's important to show this map every day just to see where we're at. Okay, so let me go ahead and hit up the next point here. Dow Jones Index, we had a good day. We did. We had a great day. 690. That's good. It's good news. It climbed by 3.19%. So the stock market went up anywhere in the green. Even if it went up 1 point, that's good. I still think ultimately, I mean, there's a lot of good news out there. A lot of supplies going out. A lot of money is being distributed around. So I think there's some optimism with this. But I still think ultimately, I'm sure we're going to drop below 10,000. I mean, it might take a month. It might take a week. But I think we're going to hit a point where it's going to drop really sharply. So I'm just surprised it's not, but it's not. It went up, so that's good. Against all odds, it went up. All right, so let's go to article number 3, which I have labeled 2, but let's just pretend it's 2. Check this out. This is on eBay. Okay, here, let me refresh. Like this will be this is in real time, but let me just refresh just to show you that this is real time here. Okay, look at this. That's a good deal. Okay. No, it's not. Or is it? Yeah, that's not too bad. 10 pack, $16. But it's the shipping. So it's like $27 for a 10 pack. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the dollar store called Dollar Tree, it's a kind of get whatever you want kind of place, but everything's a dollar. I think they're nationwide. They're really popular in Florida at least, but they sell Kraft macaroni and cheese. The average size box, I don't know what the ounce weight is or whatever, but I'm telling you, it's like your average run-of-the-mill macaroni and cheese dinner. They sell them for $1. Okay, it's $1. Now I know Publix, they're like $1.60. I think Walmart, they might be like $1.30 or something like that. Publix might actually be closer to $2 maybe. I'm not sure, but the cheapest place I've ever found mac and cheese is Dollar Tree for $1. And and if you can see this, like 10 pack, they're selling for 16, so that's already above what you would normally pay for it, and they're going to charge an extra $11 for shipping. I understand that shipping is going to cost something, but it's not going to cost that much. And then there's some down here. Hold on, let me see where that one was. No, that's a 5-pack. There was one I found earlier. Yeah, it was this one. A lot of 10 boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese, original flavor, fast shipping. They've sold 9 of these 10-box packages already. They're charging $31, quote unquote, free shipping, which, okay, that whatever. But see, my point is that if you go to Dollar Tree, you can buy 10 boxes for $10, and they're selling them for $3 a piece, not for $1 a piece. Technically, I think that's price gouging, but it's not excessive price gouging, I don't think. I think that if somebody really loves Kraft mac and cheese, I mean, including myself, I love mac and cheese. I think I still have like maybe 4 or 5 boxes left. I'm definitely going to conserve those because we had 2 boxes in the last week. So I'm probably going to have to go easy on them. But yeah, I mean, $31. I mean, if nobody has them anywhere, I could justify myself spending that. But this is just, I think this is a sign of bad things to come. It's only going to get worse. In this video, I plan on showing you like the latest on toilet paper and disinfecting wipes and stuff like that people are trying to sell on eBay, but I'm not going to have time tonight. But I just wanted to at least show you the macaroni and cheese market. There's an actual market for macaroni and cheese on eBay. Look, 15-box pack, 7.25 ounces. I'm sure that's the status quo. I'm sure that's just normal. $45 and 3 people are watching this. Okay, so something that on a normal day you can go to Dollar Tree and spend $15 on. There's 3 people that are considering buying this for $45. I mean, it blows my mind. So, yeah, this is actually happening, folks. I mean, there is going to be this happening, and people are literally buying this stuff. They're actually, not only are they watching it, they're actually buying it. So, pretty crazy, man. Like, there's a market for macaroni and cheese. I'm not saying that you should start selling your stockpile or anything, but I'm just saying that that people they're doing whatever they can to get their mac and cheese. I mean, that's a classic American staple to have in your pantry for sure. All right. Let's see. Let's jump up here to the news. A food crisis looms as coronavirus forces farms to stay idle and countries hoard supplies. The coronavirus outbreak could affect food security as the global pandemic disrupts labor availability and the supply chain. Quote, we risk a looming food crisis unless measures are taken fast to protect the most vulnerable, to keep the global food supply chains alive and mitigate the pandemic's impacts across the food system, said the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, which is abbreviated to FAO, in a recent post on its website. And then there's some other material. F off, CNBC. Okay, among the major crop-producing countries that have implemented export restrictions are Vietnam, which has curbed rice exports, and Russia, which has halted processed grain exports. And Kazakhstan has also suspended exports on wheat flour, buckwheat, sugar, sunflower oil, and some vegetables. Countries most exposed to a rise in food price inflation include those with elevated imports, such as a share of domestic food supply, such as the Middle East, China, Japan, and South Korea, said Fitch Solutions. Economies with weakened currencies, such as India and Indonesia, are also exposed, as most commodities are denominated in the dollar on the international market. So I could see how that could be dangerous for the country of India, just because, I mean, they're dealing with their currency, in which it's like I think it's somewhere around like 20 rupees per dollar. So I don't know how that translates on the international market, but yeah, it definitely could have a pretty detrimental effect on the country of India as well as Indonesia. Indonesia doesn't do the rupee, it's just India. But anyway, all right, let me go to the next one. All right. I just have my calzone dropped in front of me. It smells delicious. Oh man, this is gonna be really hard to finish. My stomach's growling. Okay, so hey, kitty. Just trying to eat it. Amazon warehouse workers walk out in rising tide of COVID-19 protests. Amazon employees are walking out. So if you're ordering stuff on Amazon, if you haven't clicked on the buy button yet, I might hold off a little bit, especially if you live in New York. Workers at Amazon's Staten Island, New York fulfillment center walked out today to protest the company's response to COVID-19 infections among its warehouse employees. Amazon has confirmed one case of COVID-19 at the New York facility, but workers say there have been at least 10 and that the company has failed to notify workers or properly clean the warehouse. Now they are calling for Amazon to shut down the facility for 2 weeks for deep cleaning. Workers at 19 U.S. Amazon warehouses have tested positive for COVID-19, according to local news reports. So far, Amazon has closed facilities only when forced to do so by government order or worker protest. Last week, the company indefinitely closed a returns processing warehouse in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, after 3 workers tested positive, and the governor ordered it shuttered. On March 18th, a sortation center in Queens, New York, was temporarily closed for cleaning after workers walked out upon learning of a positive COVID-19 case. Employees learned about the case from coworkers and say they had been expected to come to work. The failure to notify workers when someone at a facility tests positive appears to be systematic. Last week, The Verge spoke with workers at several warehouses across the U.S. who learned of COVID-19 cases from coworkers. At JFK 8, Palmer says the first case was confirmed on March 12th, but workers were only told several days afterward when managers walked the floor and told employees in person. But the facility is staffed by more than 4,000 workers and is 855,000 square feet in size. So many learned of the incident through hearsay much later. Amazon has a strong infrastructure for keeping its warehouse employees informed. The company sends out texts and emails to every worker. Amazon says it has intensified the cleaning of its warehouses in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but workers at JFK 8 and elsewhere say the measures fall far short of what's needed. Palmer says shifts of about a dozen cleaners work at JFK 8, too few to properly disinfect such an enormous building. Workers in other warehouses in the U.S. have expressed similar concerns about understaffing of cleaning crews. While Amazon has stopped daily stand-up meetings and staggered schedules to minimize workers clustering together, certain roles in the warehouse, like the packing department, still require employees to stand in close proximity, and workers often pass items between each other. So that's not good, passing stuff between each other. In a statement, Amazon called the workers' claims unfounded and said its employees are heroes. The company is taking worker safety extremely seriously and has instituted several changes, the company said, including intensifying cleaning and screening worker temperatures. And I believe that's all I had for this one. That's crazy. That's not good, Amazon. I mean, hand to hand. I mean, social distancing, man. Can't be doing that. You know, I mean, chuck it to them. I don't know. I mean, I work in a call center, okay? I mean, more or less. I mean, we work around cubicles. It's not really call center, but you know, like sometimes somebody hands something off to me, but when I receive it, I just know that whatever I get is not clean. I sanitize my hands and I know not to touch my face until I get rid of what I have. Once I get rid of what I have, I sanitize again, just in case I accidentally touch my face. I'm just saying, you know. Protesting. I mean, damn, that's crazy. I mean, you can make up your own mind on that, but that can't be good, especially Amazon. You know how many people rely on that? Everybody does. All right, let me go ahead and go to this article here. Italy risks losing grip in South with fear of looting and riots. Looting is pertaining to the grocery stores. Oh my God, that calzone smells amazing. It's like so packed with garlic. I got fresh minced garlic mixed with pepperoni. And this calzone is like if you imagine like a full size, like a Thanksgiving dinner sized paper plate, it's half that size. Actually, it's like 2/3 that size. And I've got this giant cup of marinara sauce, and it's really hot. Oh my God, that's awesome. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if like you're feeling hungry right now. I don't know. It's really distracting me. That's why I'm reading fast. But yeah, if you can afford it, if you're either employed or if you have enough in savings or anything like that, I mean, I've said this in previous videos, just order something out, please, because you're going to be keeping your local businesses afloat, and especially if it's a business that you really enjoy eating at or ordering from. Just give them your business. You have to, because especially at a place where they have an actual dining area. because they're taking a massive hit. And I think that's why the Brooklyn Pizza place that I tried to order from, that might be why they're closed, because they have a dining area. I think that's where they get the bulk of their customers, or yeah, their customer base from. All right, anyway, so this is going into Italy, so we're leaving the United States for this one. Police have been deployed on the streets of Sicily's capital, Palermo, amid reports gangs are using social media to plot attacks on stores. A bankrupt ferry company halted service to the island, including vital supplies of food and medicines. As the state creaks under the strain of the coronavirus pandemic, officials worry the mafia may be preparing to step in. And that's all I had for that one. The mafia might be taking over this, either Sicily or a part of it. Crazy stuff happening, folks, in Italy and Sicily. I mean, it's falling apart. I mean, there's people looting grocery stores. They're actually organizing on Facebook. That might have been pertaining to Sicily, but I think it's happening in southern Italy too. That there's actual Facebook groups that are calling for people to organize in front of grocery stores so they can just raid it. It's crazy. It's really crazy, man. Um, I mean, just count yourself lucky that you're an American. I think at least today on March 30th. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've always had a crazy surplus of food, to the point where if you go to a restaurant and if you order like a 3-course meal, the average person eats like 35% of that. I can't remember what the exact number is, but it's close to that. I mean, we throw away more than we eat when it comes to, like your average $25 dinner at like a, I don't know, Red Lobster or Outback Steakhouse or something. Like, they always give you like way more food than you can actually eat in one sitting. Um, so there's a lot of countries out there where they don't serve you that much. I mean, like Spain, they have those tapas, those tapas plates where they just give you a tiny little bit. So when you finish it, then you order another tapas. I mean, like, the American culture is that they give you way more than you can eat, which I think is insane. It's always been insane. But then there's other cultures where they don't give you enough that you can fill up on, so you can order another plate. Anyway, I mean, all right, let me move on here. So there's no need to disinfect groceries to prevent COVID-19, health officials say. I thought this was fairly important. I don't know if I'll get through all of this. I did highlight it. I don't know why the highlighter's not showing up. Oh, yeah, my apologies. Up against the mic again. Sorry. It's my vape stick. Okay, so this is coming out of Olympia, Washington. And Washington, they were the first big hotspot in the United States that were affected with coronavirus. So I figured I would kind of search a little bit through the state of Washington, and I found this article out of there, which I think is important to all of us. But I think personally, I'm going to still take the precautions. I mean, as far as fruit and stuff, like if I buy a bag of oranges or something, I probably won't go crazy and try and disinfect them or whatever, because that's dangerous. You don't want to put chemicals on your food, obviously. Um, but I would think probably I would take some extra care when I peel my fruit, just to make sure I don't accidentally slip a little virus on top of it, or I don't know, whatever. Anyway, let me go ahead and read this. You don't need to disinfect those groceries. That's one of the messages the Washington State Department of Health reiterated this weekend as we reach the month mark for dealing with COVID-19 in our region. With grocery shopping having taken on a new routine, health officials stress that there remains no evidence that COVID-19 is spread through food at all. Not through takeout orders, groceries, or produce, though, health officials wrote in a weekend blog post. So definitely take that seriously. So if you're going to stop by McDonald's or Wendy's or Taco Bell or Burger King, wherever you want to go to, and you pick up some drive-through food, when they hand you the bag might have some coronavirus on it. You don't know. They're not saying that they do. They're just saying that the only thing that they're I don't even know if they're even guaranteeing this, but the health officials are saying that as far as the grocery store is concerned with produce, you'll be okay. But as far as takeout orders, groceries, I mean, what does that mean? Groceries or produce? What does that mean? Hang on a minute. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I mean, they're saying not through takeout orders, groceries, or produce. So what does that mean? I mean, because they're saying that you don't need to disinfect groceries. But then in 2 paragraphs down, it says not through takeout orders, groceries, or produce. I don't know. Maybe I'm just mixed up and I'm just not understanding it. But I'll read it through. That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, takeout orders, I can understand that because somebody with coronavirus might hand you like a paper bag of your takeout food or whatever, and you might inadvertently get it through the paper bag. But they're also mentioning groceries and produce. I don't understand. I mean, they're kind of contradicting themselves, but whatever. I don't know. I'm probably just confused. Either that or this is just fake news, but I don't know. Instead, the virus is mainly transmitted through tiny droplets from coughs or sneezes by infected people. There are some transmissions from people who don't have symptoms and others through contact with droplets on hard surfaces though neither are the main way it transmits, officials said. That's why it's important that we wash our hands and try not to touch our faces in case we touched a surface that has transmissible virus on it, officials said. If you wear gloves, touch a hard surface, then touch your face with your glove hands. The gloves didn't protect you at all. Yada, yada. When you return home from the grocery store, please thoroughly wash your hands. Yada, yada. Basically, just use common sense, okay? Use common sense. I thought that was going to be like an article that delivered some pay dirt, but I guess not. At least not as much as I was hoping for. All right, that one I already did, clearly. Plus Yahoo. This is the last one. So the last one I came up with from Yahoo Finance. Let me just wait for the headline to come up, if it will. Oh, here it is. It's over here on the side. FDA approves emergency use of malaria pill for COVID-19 treatment. And that's kind of nice because the president was talking about this day in, day out, and then there were fake news media outlets that were saying that, oh, the president is telling you to use this, but then there's a report of a guy in Arizona who ingested this material and he died, and his wife's on the verge of dying. No, they took fish tank cleaner. They drank fish tank cleaner, which is chloroquine. Chloroquine is a type of fish cleaner, I guess, but hydroxychloroquine is an actual pharmaceutical medication that can be used against malaria and lupus and a couple of other ailments. So the fake news media was trying to smear the president for, championing this medication, and then at the same time saying that there was a man in Arizona, I think it was in Arizona. There's a man in Arizona that ingested it and ended up dying. I mean, completely smeared up fake news, stupid garbage media. So anyway, let me go ahead and read this here. This is what's really happening. So if you've heard about this malaria drug that's been talked about in the news, they've been producing this thing for over 50 years. It's a really old medication. There's a couple of companies that are rolling out tens of millions of these things for free out to the entire American public throughout hospitals and anywhere that they need them. I don't know if they crunch the numbers here, but I'll at least read the article. The Food and Drug Administration on Sunday approved the antidotally promising malaria drug for emergency use to treat hospital patients for COVID-19. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, said in a statement that it accepted 30 million doses of hydroxychloroquine sulfate donated by Sandoz, the Novartis Generics and Biosimilars Division, and 1 million doses of chloroquine phosphate donated by Bayer, which makes aspirin, of course. The drug is currently being tested in New York hospitals. And the last thing to say about that is that on March 20th, Novartis said that it intends to donate up to 130 million 200 milligram doses by the end of May, including its current stock of 50 million 200 milligram doses. So definitely good progress there. I actually tried to hunt down an article that talked about this because the president mentioned that in at least one or two of his last speeches. So I wanted to make sure I had that ready for tonight because I did catch that in the news during the day today that there were a couple of companies that were donating tens of millions, like hundreds of millions in one case. Like, what was it? 130 million. That's a ton. I don't know how many that they give to each patient who has COVID-19. I don't know if they give them like 30 pills a patient or whatever. I mean, even if that's the case, that's going to help millions of people who catch it. So that's a good sign if this thing proves to be that effective. But hydroxychloroquine was just approved by the FDA for use for COVID-19 specifically. Okay, so there was some garbage by the fake news media that was saying that the president doesn't know what he's talking about because hydroxychloroquine has not been approved by the FDA for COVID-19. It's been approved for lupus. It's been approved for malaria, but they didn't approve it for COVID-19. I mean, the president's getting way ahead of himself. They didn't approve that. Well, they did. They approved it today. The FDA did. either today or late last night or whatever, somewhere in the last 24 hours, the FDA has an official approval on the books for the use of hydroxychloroquine for patients that have COVID-19 exclusively. So not exclusively, but specifically, because the people who have lupus and all that, they can still use hydroxychloroquine. But all right, so I think that might be all I got. Let me see if there is anything else that I might have just accidentally not seen. I think there'd be another couple here, but yeah, I mean, my icon's not here to drop down. So that's all I got, folks. Let me see where I'm at here. Wow, I got this done in 50 minutes. That's cool. So anyway, that's it I got for tonight. I will try to do another one of these tomorrow. I always do my best to get another one of these out. I did post the video. It was I don't know if I call it a teaser for the Spathon Express, but I'm still considering just kind of jumping back and forth between coronavirus and then talking about stuff that interests me. Like that's more fascinating to me as far as like astronomy and space and history and geography and just different countries and traveling and all that stuff. I just want to talk about other things in addition to what's going on right now. Despite how important this is, coronavirus it's definitely a very important thing. And I don't want to move on to something else because I'm not getting a whole lot of views or whatever out of this. I don't really care about that. I'm just I just think that this is something very important to get out there. And I know that there are a few people, not even more than a few people, there's a lot of people who don't want to just constantly watch just mainstream news all day long because it's just so repetitive and it's just kind of a pain. And there is a big rise of YouTubers out there that are trying to deliver their own form of the news by just researching articles online, and they just deliver what they think is important. And a lot of people get a lot of information out of that. In some cases, more information than they probably would have gotten if they went to the mainstream news outlets. So I would like to stay consistent with this. I'm already on like a 16-day streak as far as putting out one after the next. So I would like to keep it going, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Okay, I'll just leave you in this suspense. But hopefully I'll have my wallpaper changed for the next video. And we can say goodbye to Wayland Corporation from the movie Aliens, which is clearly not the same building from the movie, but I think that who actually designed this wallpaper, they did a hell of a job. That looks really cool. I mean, they even have like this Spanish moss looking oak style kind of tree with vines that you might see in the state of Florida. So that's kind of cool to see that. But anyway, yeah, until next time, I hope you stay super safe out there. Keep the 6-foot distance. I've even heard that 6 feet's not far enough. If somebody's sneezing, I hear that you should stay at least 24 feet away from them because when somebody sneezes, they sneeze at like 50 miles an hour, something like that. So if somebody sneezes in your direction, you better step off really quick. So I think 6 foot minimum if somebody is not coughing or sneezing would be appropriate. But if somebody starts coughing, I mean, I don't know. I would say just keep a safe distance. And I mean, what I'm going to use for myself is if I see that happening around me, I'm going to get at least 24 feet away. And just use your common sense, folks. Common sense. Just whatever your common sense tells you to do, just listen to your gut, listen to your thoughts, yourself, your conscience, and just stay safe out there. Get your exercise, walk, get some sunshine. Get your vitamin D because that is good for you, especially for your immune system. 15 minutes of sunshine a day, from what I've been reading, is adequate for your vitamin D exposure or your ingestment of vitamin D. So, all right. So that's it for now. And I will be back tomorrow with another video. And I cannot believe it's only 9 o'clock. That's awesome. I usually don't finish these things till after 10. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you'll check out the next one. And I absolutely plan on being back here tomorrow. So until next time, stay very safe out there, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.